Okay, so there was an interesting super I saw earlier that said, would you rather be loved or love? And you can only pick one. A very painful question, but super interesting as well. So, yes, for me, I think that loving is more important, even if it's not reciprocated. And I feel as though that can be a very powerful thing. To me, I think that the feeling of unrequited love is obviously a very painful experience. But I would say that it is, at the very least, it's a very intense feeling. And it's a very sort of specific and, I would almost say, inspiring feeling. I wouldn't say that I've ever been happier in my life than when I've had... Oh, one night. Hey, 199, let's go. We've only got 1k left to go. Woohoo! So, yeah, I would say that the happiest times in my life have been the times where I've had a crush, you know. And when I say a crush, I mean like a real like... I would say, for me, I would say that fancying someone is just seeing a person and thinking they're cute and like that being it, and sort of like, you know, maybe you try to chat them up, maybe you just sort of admire them from a distance, whatever. But I would say having a crush is like second to being in love with someone. It's like when it really sort of takes over your entire body and you're like, oh no. And then it's like that, it's that really, really big feeling that you get. And I think, to me, like, even if it's unrequited, I think that when I become that attached to a person, even if it's unrequited, it tends to really inspire me a lot. And I sort of feel like I become more motivated and more creative in a way. And it almost helps me readjust my priorities. You know, it sort of feels like a very overpowering feeling. And in a good way, you know. So I think that the most important thing is... But the thing is that maybe that's only my experience because I struggle so much to approach people. Like, I'm not the kind of person who asks people out. You know, I get very nervous, and so for me, I'm the kind of guy who will have a crush on a person for years and will never tell them. You know, it's very, like, not ideal, but I think what it means is it sort of leads me to sort of live out a lot of that in my head, and what it can tend to do is make me really inspired, like I said, and it can make me feel really creative and give me sort of a new perspective on where my life is at in that moment. I mean, a lot of the time I'll be very, very well aware, even though I haven't asked, that, like, yeah, it's probably not really meant to be, but it'll still, like, make me more motivated to keep going. And I think that's what makes the experience of, like, hanging around you guys really special, because it's like, even though there's this degree of separation where, you know, obviously we can't so much interact directly, it still feels like I have this admiration for you, and I have this, like, long distance sort of, yeah, admiration, where I see you guys making fan art, I see you guys in chat, I see you guys cosplaying and all that, and I feel as though I do have this feeling that feels like love, but it doesn't feel like it, but I also don't need to say anything to have you guys say that back to me. So it feels very warm, you know, and it feels very nice to have this sort of connection, and I really appreciate it, you know. So in a way, like, if, you know, if that's something that you feel, I think that I would say, you know, don't lament about it too much, because I probably feel the same way, to be honest.